All right, folks, overtime segment of legal formation. What are we talking about? This time we're going to talk about the Hillsborough County Bar Association does their 27th annual bench bar conference. And what that is all the attorneys, all the professionals of the Florida Bar in Hillsborough County come together to talk about case law updates, talk about constitutional changes, talks about all things impacting the legal community and specifically Hillsborough County. Garrett and I attended, was put on by Judge Palermo, Judge Ward. Kudos to them, heck of a job. I think bringing that many professionals under one roof, breakout sessions. Gee, I'm gonna ask you in a second, what was your biggest takeaway? But one thing I wanted to share was Judge Palermo. At the beginning of the opening, he took a moment and he asked everybody to stand up. And he said, who here during the last two hurricanes lost power? Guess what, Luke? Almost everybody rose their hand. And he said, even for a minute, he goes, I want everybody to raise their hand or stand up who lost power either through Helene or Milton. You know what this guy does? He invites workers from TICO to our bench bar conference, has them take the stage and says, by the way, you owe all of them a round of applause because these are the dudes that were working around the clock while you were sitting in the dark, sleeping in tents. So I thought that was a nice, touching moment, man, to get back to the community. Pretty awesome stuff.
Big ovation and good community sense to be like, hey, we were all in this mess and these guys helped get people back their lives. And so it was a nice moment to be like, hey, we're gonna recover. We're strong. Let's keep going.
So, now, G, how about your takeaways from breakout session? What do we want to tell the folks? What was on your mind in terms of, hey, here's impacts of Florida law. Here's things that we were taking away that maybe the viewers could relate to.
Yeah, I went to about 4 breakout sessions, not including the constitutional U.S. Supreme Court one in the beginning, which was a nice job. But I felt like I was back in law school with all these
insane
all this stuff that's going on in the Supreme Court. But that was pretty nuts. But we did learn that there will be amendments to the rules of civil procedure coming out in January, which is huge. I think we're in favor of them because it's trying to streamline things and make everybody work more as the federal courts do, where they put more of the onus on the parties to say, hey, you don't need all these orders. You don't need us to help you with your case. You guys know what to do. Exchange the right information. Get it together quickly,
get it done,
and let's get this case moving.
Start setting some trials. And for the folks out there, what is the biggest enemy of a plaintiff attorney's practice is delays by the defense. Not that they're not good people, but they have so many cases, there's inherent delays. So instead of a case taking 12 to 18 months, a defense attorney by continuance of stoppage can take it out 2-3 years. Here, Florida said, hey, look, we got to start mirroring the federal court. A lot of people got nervous, but if you're a real trial lawyer, and you're ready to go, and you're ready to lock in, I think that only is going to help, in particular, not big business, but the citizens of the state of Florida, the individual, man. I loved it.
Yeah, I think it's great. And it kind of mirrors the way that we work our cases anyways. When we file, we're pretty much ready to go. So this is really just implementing the way that we kind of already work. And so hopefully that puts some plaintiffs to an advantage. So there's still going to be some kinks to work out, some weird stuff that they did, but for the most part, the new rules trying to fast track things, make it more like the federal courts. The other session was they actually brought in, and I don't know how they arranged this, but they found about 6 or 7 jurors that served on juries before in Hillsborough County.
Be able to pick their brains, love it.
And they had a panel where they got to talk about their experience, what they liked, didn't like, and then attorneys got to ask some questions. Hey, what did you as a juror notice if a plaintiff's attorney said this, if a defense says this?
Very much like a TV show, whether it's Bull or a jury consultant saying, hey, let's get in the minds of the juror in this situation, brought real ones in that said, what was my thought process going through this?
Yeah, and the takeaway, I think, for me was that the jurors are doing their job. They take it seriously. They did not take it lightly, that was their job, to listen, to figure out, be the fact finders, to make the decisions in the case. I think they all took it very seriously. And the other part that I think is good for us and for other attorneys going forward is that they just like things to be straightforward, tight, and
run off tackle.
So try to keep it simple.
Feedback, man, because for too long, for too much, you hear this tort reform BS where people always say, oh, if you can't get off jury duty, you're an idiot, and the juries never get it right, and we should go to events. I couldn't be more against that. At the end of the day, they get it. They can read the law. They can understand evidence. And at the end of the day, it's the best system in the world. Trust me when I tell you, you don't want a single person deciding. You do want a jury of your peers. Those people show up on game day and they're invested in what's happening.
Yeah, they took it seriously. And Yeah, it was good to hear.
Look, get the flag out. I'm gonna start banging the drum that's the best system out there. I think it's us, Great Britain, and Australia. I think those are the three oldest from a jury system, and by far should be the envy of all legal standards in the world. Now, for me, for every good thing out there, the state of Florida and pushing a couple bad. One breakout decision was Florida's huge tort reform that came from our friends in Tallahassee, talking about tort reform of comparative fault and how tough it is now to prove the medical damages. So state of Florida about a year ago came out and sweeping tort reform, two things that got hit hard. Comparative fault is now the new standard that says if the defense can prove you're 51% at fault, you recover nothing. Think about that a different way. If somebody else, Garrett, is 49% driving a Coca-Cola truck, responsible for me for being paralyzed for the rest of my life, and I have $10 million worth of damage, I get nothing. He gets to walk away from $4,900,000 worth of damages that under the old law should have been given to the victims. I hate it. I wish I could go back. I wish we could change the rules. I don't think we're done with it, but it's here in the state of Florida. Most people don't know. Number two, well, go ahead. You jumped in on that.
No. I was just going to add that it's changes medical bills and what can be presented to the jury, but that still seems like the wild, wild west. I mean, both sides are going through the rules and saying, well, I think it means this. The plaintiff's attorney that had a defense attorney on there, well, I think it means that. And so there's just a lot of gray with these new changes. And so
you're going to change what you're talking about is defending the medical bills. Same statute that crushed comparative fault came at us in terms of how you're going to prove the medical damages. Statute's not clear to your point. Arguments to be made both ways. And I don't think until we get some second district court or appellate court orders, we're not going to really know.
And here's the scary thing about getting a second DCA or appellate court order. They were projecting that by the time these cases get through the appellate process, it's going to be like 2027.
Yeah.
So we might not have the answers to these questions for like 2 more years.
And you don't think that the legislature or the big lobbyists are going to start trying to close loopholes before then and making amendments to this? Yeah. It is the Wild West to Garrett's point, but that's why it's a legal formation, folks. That's our overtime segment. Coming back to you, kudos to Judge Palermo and Judge Ward for putting on one heck of a judicial bench bar conference, 27th annual bench bar of the Hillsborough County Bar Association. Proud member. Kind of gave me a little dude. I gotta be honest, man. When I left, I felt like I had a little pep in my step.
Yeah.
I was shoulders were back. Proud to be an attorney, and most importantly, represent those folks in the Tampa Bay area. Take it away, Luke.
Totally.
Send us to the credits, buddy.